In this lecture, we learn about the JavaScript number methods. So the number is basically a data type in JavaScript. And the way we have string methods, we also have number methods as well. So we'll check all the methods one by one. Like we'll explore the number methods progressively as we move on. Alright, so first of all, we'll check the number method. So let's see what we're doing here. We are making a variable and we made a string in that variable. So after making a string, I'm saying that I want a string as a number. So to convert this string into a number, we'll make a new variable with the name of b. Alright, so in it, I'll use the method number. So yeah, you should make sure that the n is capitalized. After that, I'll call my first statement. Then I'll write document.write. I'll print b. I save it. So now, as you can see, when I had to print the statement, then it prints 100. But now its data type has been converted to the number, as you can see in front of you. Alright, so if I write type of, I save it. So it's printing number. If I write a, I save it. Now, as you can see, it's showing string. So this is how we can convert our string value into number. You can do it with a different way as well, but you will need to convert by using this method in your project. Alright, so if you have to use this string as a number, then you will have to convert it into the number. So this depends on the user, but mostly it's used because the work will be minimal and one thing can be used for two things. Alright, so now our next method is the parse. I'll tell you how we can use it. So I'm removing this statement. I save it. I'm taking a value in point. So now I have a value in point. I'll type parse int. I save it. So as you can see, I first made a variable a, then a variable b. I gave the parse int in it so that it does not show my value in points. And as you can see, I put this value in my variable a and then b, and the b variable. I used the parse int method, but the value which has been printed is 100. So why are we getting 100? Because the role of the parse ints is that it converts to integer. So if I comment it here, it will print the statement a. I saved it. And as you can see, it's showing the value in point. Sometimes in mathematics, we do not want to show the value in points. So to do that, we'll need to use the parse int method. So this was the second method. There is one more thing in the parse int, that if we write like multiple values like 2, 30, 40 and we save it, so it's printing all my values because I printed the statement a, and now if I print b, I'm getting only 100. Alright, so I'm removing 100, I save it, and as you can see, it's printing 2. Let me set its size. So if I'm removing the 2, now it's printing 30. So it will always print the first value. And yeah, basically this is the work of the parse int. This is how it works. Alright, so there is one more method with the name parse float. It's the same by the default value. So I write 10.22. I save it. And as you can see, it always prints the value as it is. So this is not enough important. It's used to convert to float. So if I write 10.30 years, I saved it. And as you can see, it printed the first value and rounded off my value and just displayed 3 after the point. Okay, so if I put one more 0, then still it will show like 10.3. But if I put 4, it will show us like 10.34. This is important because when we want to display the value in point, then it can be done in this way. Alright, so now you have two more methods, which are like the is finite method and the is integer. So these methods will always return us two values. It will only be true or false. No other value will be returned. Let me show you how it works. So I'm using the is finite method. So now see, it's showing me false. Why is it showing me false? Because it's telling me that the is finite value we're displaying is not is finite. It's another value. That's why it's showing us false. Alright, so if I remove this quotation and I write my number value, I save it. And now it's showing us true. So you'll be thinking that how will I know like which value is infinite and which one is an integer value? So to do that, you'll go to the console and write is finite and then write values in the bracket. So I'm writing 1000 and I'm pressing enter. And as you can see, it said true, which means that it is finite. So if I write anything with is finite and I enter it, now I'm getting false because it's a false value. So this is how you can check the is finite value in the console. Okay, so if I write any string like my name, I save it, it's false because it's not the number. After that we have the is integer. So the is integer value is always displayed with a number. So I'm writing number and I put a dot, I saved it. And now we're getting false because this value is not an integer value. So I'm writing 20.3, I saved it. And as you can see, it's still displaying false. So if I remove the decimal value, I save it. Now I'm getting true. The is integer is used to tell us if our number is integer or not. If our value is not in a decimal, then it will be displayed. If it's in a decimal form, then it will show us false. So this is how we can use these methods. Alright, so we have two more methods, which are like the toFixed and the toPrecision. Okay, first of all, I'll call my variable a. I write fix, I save it, and I'm getting 20 as you can see because the value is not in point as a did not give the value in toFixed. So I'm taking more values after the point, I saved it, and as you can see, it's still not showing, but I'm fixing the amount that's how much values should be shown after the point. So I want 3 values, I save it, and now it's showing 3 values after the point. Okay, so if I replace 3 with 5, then it will show 5 values. If I put 9, then we get like 9 values. And yeah, basically this is how we can show our values by fixing it. And this means that when we make our calculator or converter, we use the toFixed method for setting the type of value or the number of digits after the decimal. So we have the toPrecision, I save it. In this method it gives us the value after the round off means. So it means that it displays the value like the fixed one, but it will round off the last digit. So if I write 3 and I save it, then now as you can see, like we get 3, and it also includes like 5, which is rounded off. So if the next value is above 5, then it will add 1 to the last value. If I put 4, then my 5th value will be 6. So the value has been displayed 20.36. Now I'm saving it, and as you can see, we get 20.36. So this is how we can use the toPrecision method to round off our value. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this lecture, and now on to the next one. In this lecture, we'll see math methods of JavaScript. Like in the previous one, we've seen like the string methods, the number methods, and in the same way, we'll now see the math methods like Sally, floor, around, trunc, max, min, sqrt, pi, abs, random, and so on. So they are all math methods of JavaScript. We'll check them one by one in our VS Code. So basically we'll see like how do they work and how to use them exactly. Alright. Okay, so basically they are normal methods. They are just related to math. That's why we call them like math methods. And yeah, so basically they help us create some equations in JavaScript, manipulate numbers, and so on. So like we're making a calculation, like if we need to make any sort of addition, subtraction, calculation, so we'll use these math methods. Okay, so all these methods, they basically have like different rules. If you want to display minimum and maximum value, so we'll use these methods, for example. If you want to show the round off value, we'll also be using these methods. So I'm here in my VS Code now. So first of all, I'll make a variable called a. So now here, I'll take a value. Here I'll use the method named math. Now I'll use the method named seal. So what I'll do here, so as you can see, I'll take a value of 2.55, I save it, and now I'll print it like in the document.write. I've written a, I save it, and now as you can see, I've written like 2.55, but it's printed like 3. So why did this happen? Like, why did it happen? Because the ceil function is used so that we can check the nearest value. And the nearest value, like, of the 2.55 is 3. That's like the nearest, the closest value of 2.55. So that's why it's given us a round off value of 3. So if I write here 2.4 instead, it will give us like 2. Oh, sorry. Okay, so it will not show us a round off value. Instead of this, it will show us the upper value. Okay, so yeah, that's how it works. If I write 3 here and I save it, or if I write like 3.55, it will show us a round figure, like 4. If I write 5.66 and I save it, and as you can see now, it's showing us the value of 6. So it will always show us the upper value, basically. It will always show us the upper value, and the floor always works in the opposite manner to the ceil. Okay, so basically it will show us the lower value. If I write like 7.55 here, it will be printed. It will print us the lower value. So it's printing the value of 7. I'll give the value in minus, like minus 7.55. So that's the negative value. The value which is lower than 7 is minus 6. And the minus 7 is bigger, so now I'll save it. It's showing us like minus 8. Why? Because it's showing me the bigger value than minus 7, like the closest one, and it's working almost in an opposite manner to ceil, like in an almost exact opposite manner to ceil. If I use the ceil method here, so it will give me like the value of 7, because 7 is the smaller value. Like it's the smallest and closest to minus 77.55. So if you have some knowledge about math, you will know why I'm printing the small value and which one was the bigger one. So like this, our floor method is used, and now it's showing minus 8. If I do 8 here, so it will show me 9. I save it, and now it's showing me 9. All right. So like this, we can use our methods and try to manipulate numbers as we wish. So the best way for you to understand like exactly how this works is to practice, and practice. And yeah, you will also need like some basic knowledge of mathematics, otherwise you will struggle to understand like what is exactly happening in front of you. Alright, so after this we have the round method. So if I write round, if I write 8.44, I save it. It works like a first integer, so like it's used to convert the decimal value into a normal value, meaning that it's used to display the decimal value without a point. So but the difference between the round and this method is that it will round off the value. So in the previous one we were having the 2 different methods, and in this one we have just one method with 2 different functionalities. Okay, so if I remove the minus here and write 7.40, it will show me 7. Or if I write 7.5, it will display the upper value. So it will give us the upper value. So after that, you have a method called trunc. By using this one, it provides us the normal value. It just removes the point value and saves it. So by doing so, we can use this method and see what's exactly happening. Okay, so now we have the maximum and minimum method. If I use the maximum, in the maximum, if we are using the maximum value in our variable, it provides us the maximum value. So if I write like 20, 50, 300, 6,000, 80. Now the bigger value you're seeing here, like the biggest value, is of course like 6,000. We save it, and as you can see, it printed 6,000 because it was like the biggest value. So if I write here 8,000, here it will print 8,000. So this is how the maximum methods are used when you want to get the maximum value. You must have seen some websites where the high prices can be seen above the table, like at the top of the table, basically, that they are sorted by order. and the lower you scroll down, the lower you'll get like lower prices. And basically when you see like such a feature, it means that there is some coding behind it, and the prices are being set by a maximum method. So the same goes for the minimum method, it's just the other way around. Like the algorithm will find the minimum value, it will print it out for you. As you can see, like we get 20. So basically these kind of things work in different tables on some websites. All right, so yeah, basically that's how it works. These are our math methods. At least this is an introduction to the math methods. We'll dive in deeper as we progress. But yeah, so that's the basic idea. And now on to the next topic. Alright, so now we have some more methods that we need to talk about, like the square root, the cubic root, the power of, the random, the absolute, and the pi values. Okay, so now I'll tell you how to use them in VS Code. Okay, so now I'm here in VS Code. I'll use the sqrt method. What will I do here is that I'll write 64 and I save it. If you studied mathematics, you must have an idea why we use the square root method and what is its procedure. So if you want to find the square root value, you can do it by this method. So if I write 125 here, then the value will appear in point. So if I write 164 here, then I save it. And as you can see, the value has appeared in front of us. So if I write 25, it will show us 5. And that's how you can find the square root of a certain number. Alright, so likewise, you have the cubic root. It's basically for 5. So if you want to find the cubic root, then you can do it using this method. So I wrote 125, I got 5. If I put 360, I get this kind of value. It doesn't use much, but if you're finding the square root or cubic root, then you can find it by this method. Alright, so after that, there is the power of. With the power of, there are two values. One is the base, and the other one is the exponent. So this 2 is the base, and the 3 is the exponent. So exponent is basically just like how many times you have to multiply your base by itself. That's the definition of the exponent. So I have to multiply 2 by itself thrice. So the answer will be displayed, which is 8, because like it's 2 times 2 times 2. If I put 4 here, so 4 multiplied by itself like twice, so it's showing me 16. Alright, so this is how you can find the power of, like that's how you use it. Okay, now if I write 5, it means like 5 multiplied by 5 for 5 times, so it's showing me like 625. I'm telling you again that the first value is the base, the second one is our exponent. So the exponent basically tells us how many times the 5 value will be multiplied by itself. And the base is basically the value which has to be multiplied by itself. That's the difference. Okay, so after that we have a method named random. The random method is used so that we can generate a random value. You would have played some game where the random values appear like Ludo or any dice type game, or yeah, so the random method is mostly used in those type of games. In like these types of games, we use the random method. And yeah, by using it, we have to show some random value. For example, if you play the 8-ball pool type game, if we start our game, some random people might join us. So in this random game, some coding has been used, like how many people will join us. For example, that's a random number. If we select it, so like if you wanna have a random selection, like a random person will be selected, then it can be done through the random method. So if you wanna pick a certain number, you can do it with an algorithmic like method that will generate for you a random number. Okay, so I'll just save it, and as you can see, it has printed the random value. So whenever I'll refresh it, it will print the random value. But we can also put in it some functionality. I want that whenever my value gets printed, it should be multiplied by 10, for example. So it keeps on being multiplied by 10. I'll put it here in the bracket. So after that, I want that whatever my value will be printed, it will add into 1. So whatever value will appear in front of us, it will be multiplied by 10 and then be added to the number 1, and then we save it. Sorry, I forgot to put the brackets here, so let me fix this. Oh, actually, I have to put a method named mass, so that's what I'm doing. Yeah, actually, you know why we are using this value? Because whatever my value is, it's showing me in a round off without a point. Like, I'll use the math floor method here. I'll put the brackets. I'll use all the conditions in this method. I'll put the bracket here. I save it. And actually, like, what happened here is that there is an error in my file. Okay, so I'll open my new file, and whenever I refresh it, my value is between 0 and 10, and 1 will be added automatically without any point. So the random value is coming from the math.random, and it's getting multiplied by 10. And it's coming because of the math.floor. So that was our math.random method. Okay, after that, we have the absolute method. It's very important, so I'll comment this. After that, I'll copy the upper one. I bring in this to the lower part, and I'll remove all this. So I'll use the math.absolute, and by using this method, it will show us the absolute value. Basically, it shows us the square root of the square that you have printed. So I'll print this again, and as you can see, like, whatever I'm writing, it's printing exactly that in front of us. So if I write null here, now I'll print null, so it's showing us the null value 0. Like, if we print the value null, it will show us as null. Okay, so in the last one we have a method named pi. If you want to print the value of pi, so you will just write pi and it will be printed. Okay, so you've seen in your math classes that they used to teach us the value of pi, which is 3.14. So this is how we can print it. These are our basic methods. The pi method is rarely used, but yeah, it depends on like what you're trying to do and on what you're trying to achieve. So it's mostly used in the equation if we were working on mathematics or mathematics type project. Otherwise, floor, mass, random, power of, minimum, maximum. These methods are used mostly like when you make some calculations or some game types or some normal games like the Ludo type games. Alright, so that's pretty much it. And these are the methods that are used usually. Like, these are the most common ones and the most useful ones, I'd say. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this lecture, and now on to the next one. In the same way we have methods of strings, arrays, and numbers, we also have dates methods in JavaScript as well. So the to get string, the get date, the get full year, the get day, the get month, and so on. These are the methods related to the dates in JavaScript. Alright, so we'll use these methods one by one. We mostly use these methods when we have to do any work related to time. So for example, if we have to do any kind of work related to the clock, or if you want to make a timer, for example, or for example you have to display the current time or date on a web page, then for all these types of work, we need to use the date method. Alright, so now I'm in my VS Code. First of all, I'll make a variable with the name of date, and here I'll write new, the new keyword, and I'll write date. Now I save it, and after saving it, I'll write document.write. I'll print the date here, I save it, and as you can see, it's displaying everything, basically. So we have like the date. It shows us that today is Thursday, the month, the date, the year, the current time, country, and my time zone. It's showing me this in front of me right now, so we can check all of this information by using the date method. Okay, so basically I'm just writing new date and I'm printing my variable. So there are some more things in this as well. So like if I want to get the current date, I'll write get date. I'm putting small brackets, I save it, and now as you can see it's displaying 17 in front of us. So if I write get full year, I save it. Now it's displaying the year. So I'm putting the get hour, and as you can see we have the hour in front of us. It's showing the hours when we write get UTC hours. That's what we get. Okay, so now I'm writing get month. It will display February as 1. It will display March as 2. And in this sequence it goes basically. So we can print the seconds, and if we write get seconds, as I will refresh, it will change the seconds displayed. So as you can see, everything was updated. So this is how we can check our seconds. After this, we have set. So if we have to set anything, I'll print my date and I'll set it here. I'll write date as a variable, and after that, I'll use the keyword set. I'll set date. I'll replace 17 with 18. I'll save it. My date has been 18 now, and its day has been changed to Friday. So that's the next day. I can set the full year, so 2023. I save it, and as you can see, it's now 2023. Okay, so now, if I want to set the time, so we can do that as well. I'll write set time 14. Actually, I typed the wrong keyword, so I should write set hour, replacing 14 with 15. And as you can see, we have the output in front of us. We get 15. We get the display of 15. If I want to do second or millisecond, I can do all of this as well. So I'm writing set minutes 15. And here you go, it's showing 15. If I want to do seconds, so it's displaying 15. This is how we can set all of this. So in the set, we can set the dates, and with the get, we can get the current time date. And there is one more thing, which is like toDate string. By using this method, we'll display the date, the day, and the year. So here you go, I save it. And now, as you can see, it has displayed what we needed in front of us. And that's pretty much it. This is how we can get and set our things. And now on to the next lecture.